So boys and girls, we have our solve and share about the Fall Fest Parade. And so we want to know, we have about our pet club, and so here's our problem.
At the Fall Fest Parade, members of the Cat Lovers Club and the Dog Lovers Club will march in equal rows. There will be 6 members in each row. How many rows of dog lovers will march in the parade? How many total cat lovers will march in the parade? Complete the table. Solve the problem any way you choose.
Okay, so here we have, in our table, we have the dog lovers and the cat lovers. So here we know, and here's our table, we have the number of members at the pet parade, and we have the number of rows at the pet parade. And we know that there will be 6 members in each row. So we have that information. That's important information. So I'm going to circle that, because we like to circle our important information, right, boys and girls? That's always a good thing to know. And we need to know how many rows of dog lovers will march in the parade and how many total cat lovers will march in the parade. So that's important information. So here we know that there will be 24 dog lovers in the parade. And we want to know the number of rows of dog lovers there will be. So how did you guys figure that out? I saw a lot of right answers. What did you do to figure that out? Isabella, what did you and your partner do?
So we saw the 6 and so we heard him like.
Oh, so you did that? You saw that 6?
Yes.
That there were 6 members in each row. So what did you do?
So we took the 5 out like.
Okay, we're at the 24, right?
Yes. We did 5 times 6 equals 30.
But we're not on cat lovers. We're on dog lovers. We want to figure out how many numbers of rows at the parade. So how did you figure that out?
I figured that I saw that 6, so I took the 24 out of the chart and I did 24 divided by 6 equals 4.
24 divided by 6 equals 4.
And I did 6 times 4 equals 24.
So you knew you were right. So there's 4 rows of dogs at the parade, of dog lovers at the parade. Very nice. So now we have to figure out the cat lovers. We know how many rows of cat lovers there are at the parade, but we don't know how many cats there are, how many actual cat lovers are. We just know how many rows. So how many cat lovers are there at the parade, and how did you figure it out? What did you do? Brody?
We did 5 times 6 equals 30, so we put 30 in the out of 5.
So we put 5 times 6 equals 30. And why did we multiply by 6 again?
Because the 6's, the numbers
In each row, that's 6 members in each row, and there are 5 rows. Very nice, good job. And you know what, when I was walking around, I saw pretty much everybody else had the exact same answers. Who had the same answers, boys and girls? Good job. If you did not have these answers, you may copy them down now. Good job. You guys are doing a great job. So give yourself a round of applause. Good job. So boys and girls, we're going to be working on some word problems using our multiplication and our division. I think you guys did a great job. I think who was able to pretty clearly see what they needed to do? Excellent. The answers are becoming clearer and clearer each time we work with our multiplication and our division. Yes, Lauren?
Last night, when I was doing homework, actually, I looked at what we were supposed to do today. I'm like, oh, that seems very confusing. And then right when I heard the directions and I worked it out with my math partner, it actually seemed very easy.
Yes, when you read it through, it's not as confusing as you think. Not as confusing as you think. So boys and girls, we're going to watch our math video, and we're going to see what we need to do. I'll just run the video for them so they can watch the video. We'll start our video. Where are we?
solve word problems using multiplication and division. Think about this question during the lesson. Gina has 45 hats. She is packing them by putting 9 hats in each of several boxes. How many boxes will she fill?
Let's find out.
Okay, so now we have to find out how many boxes she's going to fill.
How can you restate this problem using your own words?
So how would we restate this problem using our own words, boys and girls? How can we restate that problem? What do you think? Allie?
I just forgot.
Who else can help restate this problem? What do you think? Lauren?
We can do a division problem.
Well, but if we're going to restate it in our own words, so what is Gina's problem? That's what we're thinking about. Because this is kind of a real life problem. Something that you may actually have to solve one day. You're thinking to yourself, well, how would this ever be a real life problem? But these are real life problems that you may have to do. You have to think about it, boys and girls. Sometimes, you know what would be a real life problem? Do you remember when we went to Mass in the gym? Did you see the chairs that were set up?
Yeah.
They're set up in an array. So they have to figure that out. They have to figure out how many chairs, how many rows, how many in a row. And that'll tell them, that would be a multiplication problem for them. So now we have a problem, a real life problem here with Gina and her hat. So we have to figure it out. So Gina has 45 hats. She's packing them by putting 9 hats in each of several boxes. How many boxes will she fill? So how can we restate that? Just in regular everyday language. What would our problem be? What do you think? Mikey?
9 times.
Well, now we're not making it into a problem. We're not saying a problem. We just want to restate it. Yes. Resay it.
So, Gina has 45 hats, and if we take the 8
And we want to figure out how many what?
how many hats there are?
No, how many boxes, right? How many boxes she needs. So that's what we want to do. So Gina needs to put 45 hats in boxes. If she puts 9 boxes or 9 hats in each box, how many boxes does Gina need? That's all we want to know. That's our big problem of the day right now.
You can restate the problem this way. Gina needs to put 45 hats in boxes. If she puts 9 hats in each box, then how many boxes does she need?
Yes, how many does she need? We're going to
Drawing
figure it out.
pictures and writing equations can help you when you are solving multiplication and division problems. You can use a bar diagram to show how the numbers are related. Which part of this bar diagram shows how many hats are in each box? Select your answer.
So which of these parts of the bar diagram is showing us how many hats are in each box? Is it this part, or this part? I'm going to have somebody come up and touch it. Izzy, you want to come up and show us which part? It's showing us how many hats are in the box, are in each box. That shows us, okay, touch it. Okay. Touch it. Now, try again. Yes, because that's 9 in a box.
The top part of this bar diagram shows the total number of hats, 45, and the number of hats that Gina puts in each box, 9. Here is one way you can find the number of boxes Gina needs. Think 45 divided by what number is equal to 9? 45 divided by 5 is equal to 9. There are 5 groups of 9 in 45. Gina can divide 45 hats into 5 boxes of 9 hats each. Here is another way you can find the number of boxes Gina needs. Use a related fact. Think, 9 times what number is equal to 45? 9 times 5 is equal to 45. So 45 divided by 9 is equal to 5. Gina can divide 45 hats into 5 boxes of 9 hats each.
This is the way I would do it. I would think 45 divided by 9 equals 5. I would think to myself, Gina needs 5 boxes. I would do it short, sweet, and simple like that. I would think to myself, I have 45 hats. That's a lot of hats. Gina's got quite the hat collection, boys and girls. Who here has 45 hats? You may not have 45 hats, but you might have 45 of something else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you have to put in a box. It's something that you might have to divide up like that. And you might have to figure out, well, how am I going to divide it up? And so this is a good, real life way to do that. So then I'm putting it in groups of 9, let's say, and then I'd be able to quickly do it. 45 divided by 9 equals 5. There we go. So let's try it. So it says drag, oh, look at this. What fun is this? Drag the hat along the line to find the total number of hats in different numbers of boxes. So in 0 boxes, we don't have any hats. So in 1 box, oh my goodness, it's going fast. In 1 box, I have 9 hats. In 2 boxes, I have 9 more hats. So I have 18. 2 times 9 is 18. In 3 boxes, I have 27 hats. In 4 boxes, I have 36 hats. In 5 boxes, 45 hats. Because 5 times 9 equals 45. Then I got my whole hat situation has been taken care of.
There are several strategies for solving math problems. Using a bar diagram and writing equations are just 2 of a number of strategies. You could also draw a picture or use repeated subtraction to solve these kinds of problems. Now you know how to solve word problems using multiplication and division.
Probably using our bar diagram is a nice, easy way to do it. Probably the simplest way is to figure out what the equation is. Yes, Lauren.
My teacher last year taught me, she's actually getting us ready for multiplication because what she said is, she was teaching us what arrays were, and she also told us, like, 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 is actually 45 because it's 5 times 9. And
It is.
And also she taught me when you count by 9s, it's kind of a pattern because when you count by 9, it's 9, 18, the 1 number goes down and down and down.
Yes, it does. Yes, there's a pattern to it. There's definitely a pattern. So boys and girls, let's, on 5.5. So let's look and see what we have to do today. Let's look at our guided practice. Let's go to our interactive student edition today. So Amelia, are you on our student guided practice on page 263?
Yep.
Perfect. So we're going to be working on some multiplication and some division. So division is an operation that tells how many equal groups there are or how many are in a group, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's look and see what we have to do. I think we're going to do great. I can tell. So it says, why can you use division to model the problem on page 262? So 262 was our problem with our hats. Why can we use division to figure that out? Why can we use that? Division to figure that out. Amelia?
Because we know the product and what are the factors.
We know that. And what are we trying to do with our hats? Yes.
We're trying to put them into,
We're trying to put them into boxes, and we're trying to put them in what type of groups? What type of groups are we trying to put them into? Maddie?
Equal group.
Yes, the heads are being divided into equal groups. Let's write that. The heads are being divided into equal groups. Okay, now boys and girls. Did you write this? No, you didn't. Casey gives 27 stickers to 3 friends. She writes the equation 27 divided by 3 equals 9. What does the 9 represent in this problem? So we want to know what this number here represents. What is that number? What is that number? Tell me what that number is. Mikey?
The quotient?
It is the quotient. And what is the quotient representing in here? It is the quotient, and what else does it represent? Sophia?
How many figures she's giving to her friend?
Very good. So the 9 is the quotient. And so we're going to say the 9 is the quotient and represents the number of stickers. Each friend gets. Okay, now, let's look here. It says a checker in number 3, represent the problem with an equation or a bar diagram. Then solve. Number 3, a checkerboard has 64 squares. It has 8 rows. How many columns does it have? So what equation, we could do this with an equation. What's our equation going to be?
64 divided by 8 equals what?
64, you're right, 64 divided by 8 equals our unknown number. So what is 64 divided by 8? 8 equals 8. Very good. Good job. Excellent. Everybody get that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I'm going to move down. We're doing the same thing here for 4 and 5. Now it says in 4 and 5, draw a bar diagram to represent the problem, then solve. because we are having to do things like that, we're just gonna do it together because we're having to draw. It says, there are 5 pancakes in a stack. Elise makes 40 pancakes. How many stacks does Elise make? I think this would be a good one. Let's draw a bar diagram. I think that'd be a great idea. So we know how many pancakes. So when we're making our bar diagram, let's go like this. Let's make our bar like that. And so what number do I put here at the top of my bar? Mikey? 40? Yeah, I'm gonna make 40 pancakes. I'm gonna write 40 pancakes. And there are 5 pancakes in a stack. And when we're doing this, so now we have to figure out how many stacks, right, boys and girls? So we have 5. This is our 5. And what we do on ones like this, we can go like this. We can go like this, 5 like that. That goes like that. We do one like that. And then we can do a division problem. So what would be our division problems? I'll finish this out. Isabella?
5, and 40 divided by 5 is 8.
40 divided by 5 equals, what does it equal? 8. Okay. And we have 8 stacks. Good. A park has 4 swing sets. Each of the sets has 7 swings. How many swings are in the park? How are we gonna figure that out? Sophia, help me with it.
You can draw,
Are we gonna we could draw a bar diagram. Is that what you wanna do?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's gonna be at the top, and what are we figuring out?
is 7.
The number of swings, right? Swings, because we don't know that number. And how many swing sets are there?
4.
4. So let's draw. 4. Okay. And how many are in each of our sets?
7.
7. Okay, now we're not doing addition anymore. What operation are we working on?
Division.
We're not breaking them apart. We have 4 of these. We have 4 groups of 7. So what are we gonna do?
4 times 7.
4 times 7. So what's 4 times 7? What's 2 times 7?
14.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do 2 times 7 plus 2 times 7. We'll do the distributive property. So 14 plus 14 equals. What's 1 plus 1?
28.
28. So how many many swings do we have?
28.
28 swings, boys and girls, 28 swings. So we have 28 swings. I'm gonna write that right here. I'm gonna write on the screen. Do you see how if you're not sure of a fact, you can break it down? You can use the distributive property, which we're really good at, right? We're good at the distributive property. Okay. Now, boys and girls, let's look. Here we're going to write an equation with an unknown to represent the problem. Then we're going to solve. So we want to do these because you're going to need to have examples for homework. And let's see who's going to help me with this one. Sophia, it says Mrs. Jameson planted 30 tulips in rows. Each row has 6 tulips. How many rows did Mrs. Jameson plant?
30 divided by 6 equals question mark.
30 divided by 6 equals question mark. Okay.
So we know that 5 times 6 equals 30. So since we checked our good, so it's going to be 30 divided by 6 equals 5.
Equals 5. Very good. 5. Okay. Do that. Okay. Okay, now, here we have a very interesting, I love problems like this. These are so much fun. We have a lot to think about. So let's read our problem, and Brody's gonna help me. I can tell he wants to. Secretly, he does. Bonnie buys 6 paperback books every month. Okay? She buys 2 hardcover books every month. So we have the every month business. How many books does she buy in 4 months? Okay, Brody. What am I gonna do? 6 times 2. Why am I doing 6 times 2? Think about this. How many books does she buy in a month?
6.
She buys 6 paperbacks. Does she buy any other books in a month?
2 books.
Okay, so how many books does she buy in a month?
8.
She buys 8 books in a month, right? So did we do an equation already? We already figured out one equation.
6 plus 2.
We did 6 plus 2 equals 8. 6 plus 2 equals 8. We have to figure out how many books she buys in a month. Because she buys two different types. Now what do we have to do? Because it asks how many does she buy in 4 months?
8 divided by 4.
Oh, are we breaking the books apart and putting them into groups? And wants to know how many books does she buy in 4 months? We know she buys 8 a month. How many does she buy in 4 months? Division is taking a group and breaking it into smaller groups. It's taking a number and putting it into different groups. Are we taking, how many does she buy in 4 months? Is that taking a number and splitting it apart into smaller groups? What does it want us to do now? How many does she buy in 4 months? So what do you think you need to do now? I think that might be a good idea because she buys 8 books every month. I want to know how many she buys in 4 months.
8 times
8 times 4. So here's what we're going to do. we're gonna go. A times 4 equals question mark. What is A times 4, Brody?
32.
A times 4 equals 32.
Yeah.
You always have to think to yourself, are they taking a number, and are you asked to take their number and put it into some groups? Break it apart into smaller groups. That would be division, where you're dividing it. Think division is dividing something. They weren't dividing that. You are asking to figure out how many more of something she has. Okay, boys and girls, good job. Now here's what we're going to do. We are going to do number 11 and 12 on the next page. I need everyone sitting like stars, like a star. Like a star, like a star. Students are working in groups or on a science project. Each group can have either 2 or 3 students in it. What is the fewest number of groups there could be? What do you think? What do you think? So let's reread that, boys and girls. 25 students are working in groups on a science project. Each group can have either 2 or 3 students in it. What is the fewest number of groups there could be? What do you think?
2.
There can only be 2 groups? What do you think?
I think 5.
Why?
Because 5 times 5 equals 25.
There can only, but you can't, what's the 5?
The 5.
Look at this.
Number.
How many can be in a group? 2 students or 3 students? You can only have 2 or 3 students in a group. You can have 2 students in a group, or you can have 3 students in a group. Brody,
3 students.
okay. What's your answer?
3 plus 5 equals 3 plus 2 equals 5.
No. What do you think?
6.
Not 6. Nina, what do you think?
I was going to say 6.
Boys and girls, why don't you try and do something called division? What do you think you should divide 25 by? Or why don't you actually draw a picture and see how many groups you can make with 2 or 3 in a group. Each group can have either 2 or 3 in a group. So what I want you to do is I want you to draw 25. Draw 25. Draw 25. Okay? So put them in groups.
And get to it. Nobody did. Excuse me. Wait. We have one.
number of groups there could be? There can be 2 or 3 in a group. What's the fewest number of groups there could be? Yes.
10,
10? No. Lance?
8,
No. Yes?
Mine was exact same answer as Lance.
Yes?
5,
No. Let's start doing it. We'll do it together. Because I'm gonna get a new color here. So because we want the fewest number of groups, and students can be in groups of 2 or 3, how many students do you think I should start putting in groups? What do you think, Nina?
3.
We'll start bringing groups of 3 students. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start bringing groups of 3 students. So here's one, here's one group. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna do a group of 8, 9. Because they can be in groups of 2 or 3. Because there can't be a lone student. So I can't have, this group has to have people in pairs. And they didn't have to be equal groups. It didn't say they had to be equal groups. Yes?
What I originally did is I did kind of like you did for the 3s down, except I did 2 across, and then I did 3 from across, and then that's how I found out like 10, but that makes more sense.
Yes. Because we wanted to have the fewest number of groups. And you could only have 2 or 3 in a group. That was a tricky one, wasn't it, boys and girls?
Yes.
Yeah, that was
I
a great
kind of
idea.
liked it though.
Because you couldn't have an equal number in a group. So when we're to divide 25 by 2 or 3, because 2, you can't divide it by 25. Neither of these numbers divide 25 isn't a factor of those, isn't a multiple of those. Okay, so now let's go to number 12. It says 8 bands are going to the zoo. There are 6 children in each band. How many children are going to the zoo? Write an equation that could be used to find the answer to this problem. Solve that equation. What would be the equation? What's the equation?
How many?
I need the equation.
8 times 6?
Yes, 8 times 6. Thank you. And what is 8 times 6?
8 times 6 is 48.
Thank you. 8 times 6 equals 48. Okay. If instead 9 bands go to the zoo, explain how you can use what you know from part A to find out how many children are going to the zoo. How could we use this to help us figure that out? I know you know, I know you know. Somebody else tell me. I know, yes. How could we figure it out from that? Yes, Sophia.
So we can add 1 to 8, so that's 29. And then 9 times 6 equals whatever.
Could we add 1 times 6 to this? I think it's what you just said. So we could take 1 times 6, which equals, we can add 1 times 6 plus 8 times 6. So 1 times 6 is 6 plus 48 equals what is that then, boys and girls? Oh, 54, I'm sorry, what did I write, 56, I mean 54. Equal 54. Okay, so we could figure it out based on that, we could use the this is the identity theory, or property. So that's what we could do, boys and girls. Okay, now here's what we're gonna do. You have your homework and you're gonna do both pages.
Oh.